Look at those roots. Hey there, Janae with Palin Projects here, and in this week's video I'm going to be planting up some house plants. The one is not necessarily a house plant, the other one is. So this lovely pothos was picked out by my daughter, and I wanted to get her into gardening and having plants in her room, and so we had a mommy-daughter day and went and picked out this lovely plant, and I got her a watering can and some gardening supplies. As you saw, I did just plant up this plant. So basically what I did was I wiggled it out of its pot. It was pretty root bound, so I did try and tease those roots a little bit just so that they didn't keep swirling and wrapping themselves around each other, and then subsequently eventually strangling this plant off. And then I just filled it with potting soil, so and watered it in. Nice and wet. So it does, that was a couple days ago, so this does require another watering, but I'll just keep a watch on it. I do plan on hanging it from the ceiling in her room, so not necessarily you know, in a spot that she can get to it, because I don't want her to break the leaves off of this plant. But I do feel like her room is sunny enough, and a pothos is just the perfect plant for her to start her indoor plant obsession with. She did choose a Hawaiian Pothos is what this is. Scindapsus is the technical name for it. That's the picture on the tag and the names, if it'll focus. Maybe if we do this. There we go. I'll put it in the description below, the name. It does say that it is filtered or indirect sunlight, so it'll be great for her room. It's nice and bright, but it gets morning sun, so not a lot of direct sunlight. It's a zone 10, so definitely a houseplant for me here in Montana. Doesn't have any blooms, and can be 6 inches tall to 3 feet long. I have gotten my pothos much longer than that. Basically, I think, you know, it's whatever you want to keep them at. If you want to keep them more as a mounding shrub, or if you want them to trail, as long as, you know, they're happy and have the right light and, you know, nutritional requirements, they'll just keep growing for you. I have done videos in the past about propagating pothos. Super easy. Basically, you just take clippings from a leaf. So I could do, this one isn't mature enough yet. I probably could, but I want it to grow. So let me move the leaf here. So basically you just cut in between each leaf, and then at a node where a leaf connects to the stem, it'll create roots and you'll have a new plant. So I'll give this one a couple months probably to grow on before I try and propagate it, even if I do try and propagate it. I'm going to try and keep this one a little more on the trimmed side because it will be hanging in her room, and I don't want it to trail and then her to pull on it and pull it down. So I'll keep it more on the trim side, so every time I trim it, I'll basically just take those cuttings and plop them in soil and root them in, and there'll be new plants to share with friends and family. So there's my first plant. It is, for me, a typical house plant. My next one, so I do have a little bit bigger of a pot for this one, and it is a little bit taller. This is a kiwi tree, or a hardy kiwi. I found this at a box store, and I can't remember if it was Home Depot or Lowe's, but I'm sure in your area you'll see these as well. You can see, or this was in like a variety pack with, not a variety pack, but like a variety, I don't know, shelving unit, I guess, with figs, raspberries, blackberries. I don't think there were blueberries in it. But I mean, this company does produce quite a different variety of plants. I tried the blackberries last year. They didn't live because I left them in this container until it was time to plant. Like it says on here, plant in spring as soon as ground has thawed and soil has warmed to 50 degrees and is workable, usually 4 to 6 weeks after the last frost. If I was to have kept this plant in this container for 3 months, it would have died. It was already starting to leaf out, and actually the week that I had it still kept in this container, it was starting to perish. I wanted to try it for my own personal, just personal plant knowledge, I guess. The care and maintenance, it says position in full sun, spacing is 8 feet, and it says 8 feet in height and 8 feet in width. So I don't know, oh, there's the average size is 20 to 25 feet tall and wide, it looks like. So 8 feet, you know, around it as a diameter. And then 20 to 25 feet tall and wide is the average size. Harvest time is early summer to fall. I do not expect kiwis off of this plant this year. Hardiness zone is between 4 and 8 for the zones. It is self-pollinating. Self-pollinating means that I don't need another kiwi plant or a hardy kiwi plant, but I have been told and I have learned that it does help to have multiple plants for pollination. So like I said, I have one. We'll see if I get another one. It's kind of one of those things, like if I kill it, then I won't get another one. If I let it live, or if I'm good enough to keep it growing, I'll probably buy another one. Any other facts about this? The one thing that I wanted to talk about, because I've seen this question asked in a couple Facebook groups, and specifically around the figs. I did not pick up a fig. I picked up the kiwi because, again, I wanted a kiwi, not a fig. But I think kind of the same requirements can be put towards the hardy kiwi as the hardy fig. The zones did say 4 through 8. When I put it into all of the plant websites, it does say that I am a zone 5. I call it trust issues. I don't trust that. I do say that I'm a zone 4. That's zone 4 and 3 is typically what the majority of Montana is. I live in kind of like this banana belt that is typically a little bit warmer, but I live at the base of a valley off of the mountains, and we get cold fronts that come through here. Last year I lost a couple arborvitae to this cold front, and I have some burn on my arborvitaes this year as well. So with that said, yes, I am kind of a zone 5 on a good winter year. I can be all the way down to a zone 3 on a bad winter year. We have seen, sub-zero temperatures into the double-digit negatives. And quite honestly, I don't want to put all of this time and effort into this plant and lose it. So what I did, I planted this pot with half the amount of soil and put the plant in and planted it so that it could develop a root system, could grow on, and could be, nice and healthy, be watered, and live in my grow room under the grow lights, and, have a fresh start and a good start to its life. Come spring, when this box said to plant it out into our landscape, I am not going to plant this out into our landscape. I am going to get a fairly large pot. I haven't decided if it's going to be concrete or plastic or I don't know what medium it's going to be, but I want to buy this plant a special pot, and I want it to be a fairly big pot, because if this plant is going to get 20 to 25 feet tall, I want to make sure that this plant has enough room in its pot to grow. But with that said, I am not going to go out and buy a 3 foot in diameter pot at this point in time. Why? Because I have a little seedling. I have pots that will fit this seedling, and every couple of months I will bump this plant up into a pot that's basically 2 inches in diameter bigger, and I'll just keep bumping it up as the years go, and eventually I'll get into that big pot that it will live its life in for the rest of its days. The other thing that I'm going to do with this, I am not going to leave this plant outside. I will, sorry, I think there's a little fly there. I'm gonna have to get my sticky traps out. I don't necessarily trust this plant outside either. So with that, I will, if we get our glass greenhouse built this year, which is on the plan and kind of on schedule to be built, I will either pull it into the glass greenhouse to overwinter and then watch temperatures to make sure that that glass greenhouse doesn't dip below freezing too much. Since it does say that it is good for zone 4, I'm okay with it dipping below freezing temperatures, but just not to the sub-zero double negative digit that could happen. And in the glass greenhouse, I don't think we'll ever get to that kind of a temperature. So one of two things. It'll either come in for winter this year and live in my grow room under my grow lights, or it'll live out its days in the glass greenhouse where it's a little bit warmer, a little more protected from the elements. I think that's probably the best bet in order for this plant to have the most reliable and beneficial life, especially with our harsh conditions. We typically get like spring-like situations. The cat is attacking the corgi right now. It's rather funny. In a good way. He's just playing with her. they do this all the time. But we get kind of like these spring-like temperatures right now, and then the next week it'll be sub-zero, sub-freezing temperatures, and then it'll swing back into spring-like temperatures, and then hit us again with another snowstorm, sub-zero, sub-freezing temperature. So I don't want to subject this plant to that kind of environment, especially, again, if I'm going to put all of this time and effort into growing this plant and babying it. I really don't want to see it perish over this winter. You know, I keep it alive. It does well through the summer, and then that winter will just kill it. So I'm going to do a couple different things in order to make sure that it lives. The other thing that I didn't do with planting this up in this pot today is I didn't put any fertilizer in here. I should have probably, but as of right now, once I pot it up into basically its pot that it'll live in for this summer, I'll put some Biotone starter fertilizer in that pot. Why I'm going to do that is, or why I fertilize or use that fertilizer. For one, it's an organic fertilizer and it's very good for our plants. I have proven that it works for our plants. I've brought plants back from basically dead that I've gotten from the nurseries. We got zoomies now. You know, I've brought plants that were basically dead from the nurseries back and brought them to life. So proven fertilizer. Can't necessarily use too much of it, but I do use it in moderation. It is specifically formatted or formulated for root growth. And so again, for this plant's survival and well-being, I will give it some fertilizer upon uppotting it. Another reason why I didn't want to give it its fertilizer right now is because I don't want it to put on a ton of growth before I can put it outside and give it that sunny, you know, direct sunlight and it be outside for the summer. I didn't want it to like shoot up and like do a whole bunch of growing inside right now. I want to try and just keep it alive right now. I'll uppot it late spring and move it outside. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. I just wanted to basically get it into some soil, get it some water, and, you know, get it growing. The other thing that I did do before I planted this plant was I soaked its root ball for 24 hours, 48 hours. My intention was to soak it for 24 hours. I can't remember if it sat in there for 24 or 48 hours. Basically, the root ball came in a plastic covering like this. You can see where I cut it. But I just poked holes. I don't even see the holes that I poked in here. I just took a pen and just bloop, 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 all the way around. And then I took a pot and a bowl and I filled it with water, and then I just dropped the plant in for 24, 48 hours before I planted it. Like I said, this plant was looking very weepy, very dreary. I actually thought that I was going to have to throw it away because I didn't know if I was going to bring it back to life. Soaking it for the 24 hours really did the trick. You know, it was able to absorb as much water as it needed to, and then I put it into, you know, this brand new potting soil, and gave it some nutrients as well to start growing. So, but yeah, that was my process. I'm excited for my new plants. Again, not necessarily both house plants. One is going to be an outdoor plant. The other is going to be a plant for my daughter's room to, you know, give her a love of gardening and planting as well. So I hope you enjoyed watching though. If you have any questions or comments below, please leave them and I'll get back to you. So we'll see you in the next project. Bye guys.